tech itself has become what I'd call this Hunger Games economy, where a small group of people and companies make such extraordinary amount of money and they live such incredible lives, and the rest kind of die an uncomfortable, slow, drawn out death. And what's most disappointing, there's a bit of a cartoon about Silicon Valley because the majority of people are still Democrats, and I think I would argue pretty decent, good people. But some of the most outspoken people are the first to kind of shitpost America after what I would call benefiting more from it than anyone in history.
Yeah.
If you look up and down the West Coast of North America, you have these trillion-dollar market cap companies or multi-hundred-billion-dollar companies from San Diego and Qualcomm to Snap to SpaceX to Salesforce, keep going north, Amazon, Microsoft, and you get to the Canadian border and it stops until you get to Lululemon. And you get to the south, San Diego, it stops until you go another 5,000 kilometers to Mercado Libre in Argentina. Okay, there's clearly something going on in America that is more than just how awesome you are. And the fact that, our most loyal Americans are those who've invested the most, and that is our veterans. I believe our most disloyal Americans are the first ones to criticize America and talk about how this sort of techno-libertarian philosophy, which as far as I can tell is I just don't want to pay taxes and be accountable for anything I say or do on my platform.
Yeah.
It is so incredibly disappointing because it's hard to point to a group of individuals who are more blessed and have benefited more from America. In addition, some of it is our fault, and that is we have not elected people who will protect the long-term Commonwealth with the type of tax structure that we've always had that is progressive. So corporate taxes are at their lowest rate since 1939. I think Facebook is going to pay, or Meta is going to pay about a 12 or 16% tax rate. The 25 wealthiest Americans will pay an average tax rate of 6 to 8%. So they have been so effective at weaponizing the tax code, basically buying our elections with Citizen United, where money is now basically more important than the votes themselves because money can buy votes, that you have essentially this super class of billionaires and of companies. And the problem is Americans put up with it because we all think we're going to be that company or that person.
Yeah.
Rather than, I can prove to each of us mathematically, 99% of our children are not in the top 1%. So what I often say, my observation around my kids, I've taught 4,500 kids when I say kids, students, from 2002 to 2000 to today. It's never been easier to be a billionaire. In my class of 350 kids, there's going to be a billionaire, either through alternative investments or technology, but it's never been harder to be a millionaire. Almost all of us, when I got out of business school in 92, none of us were going to be billionaires, but almost all of us were going to make a good living.
Yeah.
And now I'm convinced a non-zero percentage of my class will be on government assistance, struggle with mental health, be living with their parents, not be able to find a mate. So it's become a bit of a Hunger Games economy. And it comes down to this fundamental question: what kind of world do we want to live in? Is our job as academics and as leaders and as business people, do we want to identify a super class of freakishly remarkable kids or the kids of rich people and turn them into billionaires? Or do we want to give the bottom 90 a chance of being in the top 10? That's what America used to be. And so I think we've sort of lost the script, and technology sort of embodies this change of the narrative where it's all about being freakishly remarkable and a lack of gratitude towards the nation, that the nation is a bug, not a feature.
Yeah, and I don't think it's not good for the individual to be a billionaire.
100%.
Put aside the economic necessity, reality, inevitability of it. I think it's fascinating. I'm sure you've met a lot of very wealthy people in your time. I have not met that many that I think I'd actually want to trade places with. There are things they have that I would like. There are things I have that they have that I might think I might be able to use better or would be cool or whatever. But oftentimes, the real bug is inside that person. They have some almost tragic flaw that makes them profoundly successful. Again, putting aside some of the luck and the economic conditions, that makes it impossible for them to ever have any semblance of enough.
So I know a lot of billionaires, and I would say there's a bit of a cartoon that they're bad people, that it's Monty Burns with the nuclear power plant. I generally have found that billionaires on the whole, and it's not a popular thing to say, are good, high character people. And one of the reasons they're billionaires is because along the way they've collected allies. And what I advise young people is if you want to be really wealthy or successful, You need to put yourself in a room of opportunities. And the way you do that is by creating a bunch of allies, by being kind and generous with your time and your thoughts and your emotions as a young person, and invest in a ton of relationships such that people think of you. There was a study at Google that when they have an open job, or they put out a job opening on LinkedIn, within 24 hours, they get 200 CVs. They choose the 20 best. And 80% of the time, the one person hired had an internal advocate and friend.
Mm.
So if you want to be successful, make a lot of friends, be
Yeah.
a good person, be someone that people want to help.